I want to preface this, right? I was in the Peace Corps where I've eaten like bugs and really terrible things. I've eaten Army meals ready to eat. I've eaten really terrible food. The food that we're serving people in our care at the jail and the House of Corrections was the worst food I've ever eaten. And it was aggressively, intentionally bad. So I sit down it was, there are pictures on my Facebook that sort of went viral about this. And it was just horrific. So I sat down and I had some brown stuff, and there was like almost uncooked potatoes that were totally unseasoned. There was not even any salt on them. And I don't know if I've ever eaten food that was literally devoid of any flavor whatsoever and also wasn't baked well. And I took a couple bites, and the guys around me, the people in our care, were laughing like with me, like in a good-natured way. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad.
Yeah.
And one of them's like, don't worry, I got you. And he went to his bunk. He got a ramen noodle packet, and he sprinkled that on there. And I'm like, oh, it's instantly so much better. And I was like, so, I don't mean to be rude or, whatever, but how many minutes or hours, whatever, does it take you to earn enough money to get this packet of ramen? Because I'm interested in what that economy looks like. Other folks were telling me it was really expensive. And he kind of looks at me, and I'm like more than an hour? I don't mean to step on your toes. He's like, we don't make any money here. And I didn't know until then that we pay the folks in our care at the jail and the HOC $0.00, even while, like in the case of this, that they're enriching a private vendor. So they're in there working for Aramark, who does our food service monopoly. And they're not making any money. Even the lowest paying jobs in state institutions are 19 cents an hour. It ranges up to about $1.30 an hour. Mm-hmm. We're paying $0.00, which means that when a person is served food like this, which is inedible, I could not have eaten all that food.
Yeah.
I realized afterwards that it was twice the normal portion that they served me because this was a food service dorm. They weren't making any money. They were just giving them an adequate amount of really shitty food. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just really eye-opening to me. And then they started talking about what a financial strain it is on their families. Not only did most of them have jobs before they were incarcerated, but now their families are responsible to put money on their books just so that they can get enough calories so they don't starve. And it is absolutely terrible. So I looked at that. I was like, this is really bad. Let's go talk to the kitchen manager. And I walked back there, and they had literally what looked like a cement mixer of like a slurry. Like I didn't know what it was. It smelled like vomit. And the manager is like, he wasn't expecting me to be back there. And I said, what is this? Like, what is this? It looks like a cement mixer, literally. What is going on? And he's like, I don't know. I'll check. I was like, are you kidding? Like, you're the kitchen manager. You don't know what this is by looking at it?
Yeah.
Turns out it was ham.
Oh.
I don't like doing air quotes, but I'm doing ham right now, because, air quotes, because it did not look or smell like ham. I didn't try it, but it was aggressively bad. And then I said, why was there no like butter or even salt on those potatoes? Like, why was the food so bad? And he's like, that's not our job. And I'm like, it actually is your job. Like, we pay you to provide nutritious, at least semi-edible food for the folks in our care. And we had words. And then he took me over to the other part of the kitchen where they were making like senior meals, and he was talking about how great, like, it was fresh fried fish and coleslaw made on site and everything else. And I'm like, great, yeah, no, I know that you have the capacity to make good food, and over here you're not. What is the deal? And then I talked to some more people, and it occurred to me that Aramark is not just in charge of the food service; they're also in charge of the commissary. So the person told me that he made $0.00 and that ramen was therefore really expensive, but it was objectively really expensive. Yeah. You or I could go to the corner market and get ramen for 32 cents. Mm-hmm. It's $1.04 over there. So they jacked up the price of this 300-400%, and they were price gouging on people who they were already exploiting for their labor in order to enrich a private company. So one of my resolutions capped the amount of profit they can make on that. Aramark right now cannot charge more than MSRP, like the manufacturer's suggested retail price. We're going to break up that monopoly so that Aramark doesn't have both food service and then a bizarre incentive to serve food that is so terrible that it drives people to the commissary to get enough calories to survive, and then enriches them twice because they get paid per person in there, regardless of whether or not a person eats a bite of that food or not. and to a large extent they're not. They also, just horrifically,
That's diabolical.
right? They also have this alternative food service. So if you don't like the inedible, horrific stuff that they serve, for $13.50, you can get a cheeseburger and fries.
Did you say $13?
$13.50, also run by Aramark.
Oh,
So
no.
they have a huge incentive to serve terrible food because they're getting paid either way. And then if it's so bad that you can't eat it, you survive on ramen and everything else you get at the commissary, or you pay $13.50 to a literally captive audience in order to further enrich that same company.